So this is Rep. Kaniela Ng, Chair of Hawaiian Affairs in the state of Hawaii. Uh, I'm here outside of Mark Zuckerberg's property in Kauai. As you can see, there's a 6-foot wall. It's taller than me, built by a supplicant progressive who told Donald Trump to build bridges and never walls. This is a very special place to the indigenous Native Hawaiians. Beachfront, 700 acres, over a square mile. So the larger issue really is, who needs 700 acres of paradise? It's a little excessive, and nothing the government can do can take this away. We're not telling him he can't live here or you got to get the land back. The reason why he would want to clean or quiet the title is so local people and Hawaiians cannot walk through his land to go fish or for beach access. All these things are supposed to be constitutionally protected as Kuleana writes.
Aloha. I wanted to play that video to kind of set the tone and give an example of the subject that I wanted to get into today, and really just give a more like modern or and down to earth sort of example of the mentality of what's going on across the earth, from the largest of the largest perspectives of power, control, the expansion of haves and have-nots, down to the very infrastructure of your own mind and the way you're raised, the way you raise your children, the conformity to this artificial authority system that has been amplified and expanded over many generations through fear, through manipulating our ways of thinking about who and what we are, through the animalistic consciousness of, you came from monkeys, you came from cavemen, you came from nothing, you have no spirit, you have no soul, you're just a cosmic mistake that gravity happened to suck together into a planet and then suck together into a dinosaur, then suck together into a monkey, then a caveman to you. There's no meaning, there's no purpose, there's no accountability there. There's no spiritual accountability there. There's no soul essence there. There's only the physical you that gets brought together. And I wanted to share like this perspective of this kind of accidental happening that has grown into this apathetic view of society, this apathetic view of humanity and relationships with each other, relationships with nature, and so on and so forth, and how it's been expanded through the fiat currency system, the maritime admiralty system, believing in the university system as the evolutionary peak of humanity, the lies that get perpetrated through NASA, the lies that get perpetrated through politics, so-called democracy, so-called capitalism. These are all just fancy terms for protecting the new world. These are just distracting sort of definitions of genocide and massacre. You can never escape the foundation in which this entire system, this entire society was built. This is what people miss a lot of the times when they leave trollish type comments on this channel. They miss the fact that NASA is an extension of the university system. The university system is an extension of the foundations, excuse me, of slavery, of the foundations of Christopher Columbus genociding and massacring the indigenous people of the Americas. That story is an expansion of the colonization of lands across the earth plane, the genocide and massacre, excuse me, of the indigenous people across the earth plane. This is the foundation in which I'm coming from, that it is continually being ignored, not only by the trolls, not only by the mainstream society, but even by the majority of so-called truthers that I'm seeing. I am not seeing the majority of so-called truthers that are out there are heavily focused only on what happens or what's happening inside the box of Western civilization. There's not many people out there that are talking about expanding outside of this system, this bloody genocidal system. And that's why I have such difficulty, not only with people who call themselves truthers like Alex Jones and even people like on TYT. They consider themselves like that's their frequency of truth. And I'm not saying like there's something wrong with it. Like if you're in my circle, then I'm going to call you on your bullshit. That's where I would say go as far as say it's something wrong with it, because I'm not going to let my friends, just continue to lie to themselves. So that's why I kind of speak generally on here, so people who know, where I'm coming from, they can feel it and think for themselves. I'm not telling you how to think, how to be, anything like that. I'm just sharing with you how I feel about things as if you were in my circle. So if like my circle of friends, this is why I don't have many friends, because I just, I'll take it to that extreme and I'll be like, you know what? That's just total bullshit. I'm not gonna dance with you on that kind of mentality. And if you want to continue to think like that, that's fine, but I'm not gonna be like that. So we have these structures that are designed for us to think, how to act, how to feel, and how to be in society. And a good example of this is this idea that the mainstream, the modern way of living, the modern way of acting is, how you're supposed to be. This comes from generations and generations of mind control. This is a result of the Stockholm syndrome. This is a result of, your parents going along with the system. So your parents did this. They considered themselves successful. That bar was set so low, and on purpose, not by them, by the society itself. The bar is set so low that you don't have to do much to be quote unquote successful. You just have to be just a hair more, whatever it is. So you're basing your life on comparison. That's the American way. You grow up, take over the family business, that whole thing. What is that based on? It's based on money, the fiat currency system. Everything is based upon money. So money these days has overtaken the mentality of, or the scope of humanity. So with that video you just watched, that video gives a good example of what I'm calling like fiat genocide. So fiat genocide is the modern day version of scalping people and lynching people and burning people's communities down. This is gentrification. So this fiat genocide is what's happening across the earth plane. And it's not only limited to fiat, it's the belief systems, really. It's a belief genocide, because the same genocide that's happening from people being starved to death, having their lands stolen, having their, just people like I showed in that last video, the uncontacted people in South America in the rainforest who were just slaughtered by loggers that were out there. Like they don't give a shit about that. They only give a shit about like something that happens in France or something that happens in, the subway system in England or something, like whatever it is. This is the mentality that makes you conditions you to think and act a certain way about your authority figures. That's why I said it's at the same time that it's not so much about race. That doesn't mean that race doesn't exist. Like, white supremacy was very much a part of the power grid that has added up to today. If you cannot look at the White House and see who's in there and see that that is a part of this haves and have-nots power grid, then I don't know what to tell you. Something is off there. If you can't look at your teachers in the university system, if you can't see the existence of white privilege, I don't know what to tell you. This stuff exists. And if it exists, that means it has an origin. It has an intent. It has a purpose. And if it's been existing so many years, so many generations, that means it exists invisibly. It exists also invisibly, meaning like in our subconscious reactions. Like, people have a reactionary, they have like a rash, like a temporary rash pops out when you hear certain terms like white supremacy or white privilege, and then they just want to get rid of it. See, that's the reaction to the Stockholm effect of not really addressing this system. It really is the alchemy of this system. It protects itself because they utilize triggering your emotional body to protect itself. And when you get that far into alchemy, it's not so much about the race anymore. It gets into power and control. And that power and control, the power and control structure of today is heavily founded in the colonial agenda, the genocide and the massacre of the indigenous people, and circles around ownership of land, ownership of resources. This is what I was saying in the last video. We kind of have to really get into focusing on what it is that we are really addressing here when we bring upon all these truth stories and all this other stuff, and really don't see the origins of it, or how far we're really talking about this. Because like this, right before I did this video, I woke up today and I was thinking about like what kind of examples I'm going to give of, the things that have happened that shed light on how destructive this system is, and how just not inhumane this whole system is. And I was thinking about all the people that have been taken out, all the land that has been stolen, all the stories that we've been told that are just blatant lies, like all of these things that exist. And I'm thinking to myself, if only one of the individuals that are thought to have been taken out by this system, if only one of them, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, even Gandhi, JFK, whoever it is, excuse me, what was his name? Gary Webb, the journalist who was reporting on the drugs that were being brought in by the CIA, all of these holistic doctors that have just disappeared or ended up like committing suicide, or any of these actors at the same time too, or these musicians that that committed suicide or died, or Princess Diana. Like, think of the list of all these people that have some kind of conspiracy theory around them. Add all of those stories up, trace them back to what they really mean, like where they're really going into. Like when you go into the CIA, when you follow those strings all the way back to what you're really talking about, you're going to the CIA, you're going to the government, you're going to the tippy top of this power grid. All of these stories that exist out there, if only one of them is true, that burns down this entire system. It removes the integrity of this entire system. If even one of those people have been killed or taken out by the CIA, these leaders, presidents of other nations, Gaddafi, Hugo Chavez, all of these people, President of the Philippines talking about, he even said it. He said, you don't think the CIA assassinates people? Like, what world are you living in? See, that's as far as of a reality it is for people who are really looking at this information and saying, there's nothing there. They're selling you lies. They're selling you illusions. Hundreds and hundreds of people taken out by this system. All the African leaders that were taken out by government, U.S. government or CIA agents who were trying to protect the African resources that were owned by the colonial nations. So if any of those people were taken out by the CIA, look at all the lies that came out of WikiLeaks. This is all the information. They released that information through WikiLeaks and people like Snowden and all of these so-called whistleblowers that are out there. They released this information to release the pressure relief valve on you. That is to make you think like things are changing within the system. As long as you think things are changing within the system, you will not do anything about it. It will create instability. Okay, so this is what happens. You will not do anything about it because you will let the system try to heal itself, which is what they want you to think that's happening. On the second part of that, they also create this mentality of instability that's out there because you don't know what to believe anymore, because now you have this fake news and real news story, and your real news is based upon what, depending on where you're coming from, your real news is based upon what the people on television or YouTube or social media are believing is real news, and your fake news is the same thing. You believe in other people. You believe in what the mainstream society, what compartmentalized comfort zone that you have chosen, you believe whatever that zone believes in, and then you just live out the rest of your life in apathyville, thinking everything is okay. Oh, it's okay because it'll just take care of itself. Things are changing. Good job. I'm happy things are changing. But that's the thing. That's how this whole system works. It's about keeping you in a space of limbo, in a space of inaction where you're either too scared, which is the main thing. You're too scared, amplification of fear. You're too scared, or you're too distracted to research this information, or you're too bombarded by responsibility, by whether you have kids or you have a job or you have like a car payment or something like that. And I heard the other day out when I was out, these two guys talking about my truck. I got a truck, my truck, and man, I gotta put in a lot of hard work to get that truck, man. I got all the fixings on it, got these lights, got these tires, I'm trying to figure out if I should lift it or not. And it's the brand new, it's got this exhaust system, it sounds like a beast, and this whole thing, like they put all of their life's energy into a truck. They put their whole life's energy into a fancy car, all the fancy creams and lotions, like all that shit that's out there. That's who people think they are. That's how shrunk down the human experience has gotten. It's been shrunk down to a Tonka truck, a fancy vehicle, some fancy shoes. Because that's basically what cars and trucks are. They're just what, kids in high school do with shoes. They just get these Jordans and wear these Jordans around. $200 for a 13, 14, 15-year-old kid. That's like driving around a big truck. So you have these giant children running around with children, training children to be like giant children, driving around in their fancy truck shoes, priding themselves in how successful they are in this system. And that whole distraction grid is the apathy program that keeps people from not only keeps people from challenging the system, but it actually prides themselves in this. And that pride is another defense mechanism. So you're either distracted, you're too afraid, because whatever. There's so many ways you can be afraid. You're either full of fear, full of distraction, or full of pride. And that all of these keep you from addressing the origins of this system and ultimately activating your connection with the people across the earth plane that are being persecuted in these so-called third world countries by the so-called first world countries, with the fire or the power of the fiat genocide mentality. And it's, like I said, it's not limited only to the monetary system. It's about belief systems, what you believe in. People believe in the heliocentric model. People believe in money. They believe in it so much that it overtakes human life. They don't care about human life because they don't care about human resources because it's about the money. We can't do anything about the resources because it's the money that's out there that keeps us from doing this. And the people who have the money, they're in power. So the power is what is really at. So that's where the fear comes in. But like I said, it goes through the belief systems. So you have like the Buddhists in Myanmar, previously Burma, where you have the Muslim, the Rohingya that are out there that I been mentioning for the last, the last 5 years, 4 years, something like that, that I've been researching, like what's happening out there. The Muslims in Myanmar are being killed. They're killed on sight, raped, killed, forced off of their land simply because their belief systems are different than anybody else's, or the Buddhist belief systems in the nation. And the Buddhist people are in control of the politics of that land. That's no different than what happened to the Native Americans when we were labeled primitive and savage by the Western society, who came to the so-called New World that they so-called discovered and called us savages and started killing us. This was all a mentality that was amplified and still being amplified today. The mentality back in the day when it was actually happening was pride. Yeah, get those savages, take them out. This is our land. They're the old kind of human. They shouldn't even be living. They shouldn't be existing. This is the same mentality that existed not that long ago. This is the mentality that added up to the reasons why they had to do the pressure relief valve of the Civil Rights Act. That was the same mentality of the so-called Negroes or the niggers or the niggas and all that other stuff. That was the mentality that said, yeah, get rid of them. We need to get them out of this land. This is my neighborhood. Lynch them up. Take them down the street. Burn their fucking houses to the ground. These mentalities still exist. There's a pride in that mentality, consciously for a lot of people, and definitely subconsciously by just accepting this system the way it is. Here in the Americas, here in the United States, it's very much alive. Look at the people in the White House. Look at what's happening. Why does white nationalism even exist in the so-called free world? Why does white supremacy even exist? Do you know where it came from? Have you traced its origin? Have you linked its connections to racism as a whole? Have you tied in its connection to colonialism? Have you tied in its connection to the power grid and the power structure as a whole? Like these are the facts that I'm talking about that are being ignored because we can't let go of Western civilization. We can't let go of the so-called evolutionary peak of this experience. And what I'm saying is that people are dying because of that belief system. You believe in the monetary system, you believe in whatever religious dogma that you have. Well, Western civilization is a belief system. No different than scientism. People are in flat earth, talking about flat earth. Is Western heliocentrism is a belief system. Scientism, the technological future, the technological present, the technological past. Not talking about the ancient technology, because they can't talk about that, because that removes the power of the current technology. But that goes in that's the bridge between modern civilization and ancient civilizations. And the so-called modern civilizations are what Christopher Columbus claimed as the New World, the Industrial Age, and so on and so forth. That we are living in today. You can't have these systems if you acknowledge the genocide and the massacre of the indigenous people. You can't have the pride of technology in Western society if you acknowledge ancient technology. You can't have the pride in the evolutionary peak of the university professors and politicians and society, capitalism, so-called democracy. There's a pride in that. You can't have a pride in that if you acknowledge and research the ancient civilizations, which were in much more harmony than what's going on today. I'm not saying they were perfect. What I'm saying is that their interpretations of this reality, their understandings, overstandings, and understandings of this reality go a hell of a lot deeper than anything that's going on today. This is the most shallow interpretation of reality that we can ever experience. And it's only trying to kick into the next gear. This is what the new age is. This is what the sort of new age type mentality being pumped through the flat earth so-called community is. It's the same thing. If you're just being happy and everything is fine because you discovered flat earth and we should just have parties and all this other stuff, then you're actually more dangerous than the mainstream media. You're doing the same thing as the mainstream media. Because before you can throw parties and be happy and celebrate, I'm not saying don't be happy and celebrate. That's a part of it, and it's not a linear process. What I'm saying is that so individually, you can be happy. You're being happy because you're discovering this information. But before you start throwing collective parties that are filled with happiness and joy and all that other stuff, that's where it gets dangerous, because you haven't allowed yourself to heal and grieve. Once you start throwing parties because you've discovered something, and you haven't grieved and healed first, you start to scab over those wounds. You start to put Band-Aids over those wounds. And those wounds will never heal if you continually put Band-Aids on them and just act like, everything is okay. Everything is going to be okay because flat earth has come to save the day, or whatever it is, whatever you pride yourself in. Even the melanin community, the so-called melanin mentality. If you think melanin gives you superpowers, then you're already stepping off on the wrong foot, because you are limiting yourself to the physical reality. And you think that the physical reality comes from the non-physical reality, your soul. So the melanin is a part of your soul experience, no different than everything else in this physical reality is a part of your soul experience, your spiritual experience. So if you're out there priding yourself in how dark your skin is, or how much melanin that you have in your pineal gland, or whatever it is, you're limiting yourself based upon the structure of this physical reality. It's not limited. It's not As simple as that. It's just another linear interpretation. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because this is all a process that we are doing to get closer to ourselves, to understand a deeper layer of ourselves. So you have to go through that pride of, yeah, man, I feel good. I'm in harmony with, whatever. I'm this and this and this. And then you continually grow. So this is the same thing that happened with me, like going through the New Age community, or me going through the Occupy movement, where we were protesting the government. And you have to you have to actually experience those realities in order to process that energy and grow. So the whole melanin interpretation of, like, through the Black conscious community and so on and so forth, it's not a bad thing. You're actually understanding more. You're understanding what you were kept from on purpose. So that's the opposite side of, it's like the positive interpretation, the natural interpretation of the destructive energy that has come from, like, white supremacy. Like, melanin is in everything, life itself. So we're interpreting what life itself is through our own experience. And then it'll start to expand into more spiritual interpretations. But right now, white supremacy is still running rampant. It's still in Hollywood. It's still on television. It's still in your politics. It's still existing with the colonization of the earth as a whole. It's still out there. So it's obvious that something like these processes that people are going through are going to exist in order for us to not only so-called fight this system, because you're fighting yourself. You're fighting the system out of yourself. That's mainly what's going on here. It's when people talk about awakening and, I'm woke and all this other stuff, it's not so much about the information that you know, that the information that you're aware of. It's more about the stuff that you have let go of. Before you start letting go of stuff, because that's the inner work. That's what truly enlightenment is to let go of stuff, not to ignore or become apathetic from things. That's the synthetic version of enlightenment. That's what the New Age community is doing. It's synthetic enlightenment. True enlightenment is to have let go of all of the densities that have been placed upon you, that you've placed upon yourself at the same time throughout your experience, and start locking yourself into the foundations or the scope of the soul and the higher mind, as existing in the vessel that is the physical reality as a whole, not just the human body, but the physical reality as a whole. The New Age community wants to sell into you a commercial version of that, a linear interpretation of that. How that is linear is because truly becoming light and letting go of the density is by going deep into that density and seeing how it exists in your reality, in your friends and family's reality, in the collective reality, in the reality of the history, in the reality of the present moment, and how it's being projected into our interpretations of the reality of our future, the past, the present, and the future. The densities of the past, the present, and the future, processing all of that information from the depths of the collective to the depths of yourself, your soul, processing that information and not letting it go, in a sense of it being a part of your heart. See, once it's a part of your heart, then your essence, your core, once it's a part of that space, that's when it starts to naturally process and naturally let go, and you start to actually become connected with everybody, and you start to naturally let go of the things, the real density. See, the New Age program, what it wants to do is it wants to give you a prescription drug for that. So they give you no different than religions telling you that you're going to go to heaven because you went to church every Sunday. You believe in Jesus as everything, and that's it. And or whatever religion, that's it. That's what's going to get you to heaven. You can fuck up for the rest of your life. You can do all this stuff as long as you repent for your sins or whatever it is. That's the linear commercial mentality. It's like a lunchable spirit. They've packaged like a microwave burrito of spirit, and you can live on microwave burritos for a long time. I know people that have done this shit. Top ramen you can live on for a long time, but that's what's being sold to people every day as what this experience is really about. And the future storylines that are being sold to us through stuff like the New Age community. The New Age community wants to sell you this artificial idea of unity in order to take that idea and integrate it into the power grid. So they'll use your actors, they'll use your life coaches and all these people that are out there. They'll use your Oprahs, your Deepak Chopras, your Eckhart Tolles. They'll use all of those people, take all of that energy, excuse me, gather all that energy, and then filter that energy into, a particular program that is just an extension of the original mind control program, the original enslavement program. It'll just amplify the same story into the next story. And that's what's happening right now. You'll have, it's the new version of apathy. It's the new version of colonization. It's a new version of genocide because these lands are still being stolen. Like, think back to that video I played at the beginning of this video. Mark Zuckerberg can literally take his bank account, a piece of plastic. He could take a piece of plastic or a check, a piece of paper. He can take that to Kauai. He can take that to an island, an indigenous island, and buy 700 acres of indigenous sacred land and put a wall up around it to keep the indigenous people out of there. How is that any different than Christopher Columbus? How's that any different than what Trump is talking about with this wall in the United States? Trying to wall off the indigenous. See, there's no wall, there's no separation between, and this is different than that whole United Nations trying to remove all the borders shit. That's like the mentality of the colonization. They want that new world order. They want that no border stuff. But there's a difference between that, coming at it from that perspective, and coming at it from the perspective of, no, these fucking lines shouldn't have existed in the first place. This was indigenous land. It still is indigenous land. There is no line between the Mexicans and the Native Americans. Mexico went all the way up to damn Oregon and Washington. There were no separation between the peoples until the Spanish and the French and the English came and started. The British people came and started pushing people around, saying, you need some structure around here. You need some whatever it is. And this is what I'm saying. We've been locked into a mentality, a belief system that this is the way things are supposed to be. And the power behind that belief system largely is fear. You are afraid of challenging the government. You're afraid of challenging the belief systems that make up the status quo of this society. That fear exists in everybody. And we just keep ourselves from processing that fear by, just accepting whatever distraction or whatever, responsibilities that we have, whatever it is. There's nothing, it's not like something's wrong with it or what I'm saying. I'm just sharing this perspective, this information, in order to, like I said in the beginning, with my circle of friends. Like, this is not a fix-all. I'm not trying to save anybody. Somebody said, "Oh, you're trying to save people's soul and all that." Get the hell out of here with all that nonsense. This is information being shared from an artistic perspective of reality. And like Nina Simone was saying, if you're an artist, you call yourself an artist, you have a responsibility to reflect the times. You have a responsibility to reflect what's happening. That's what real art is. That hits you in the heart. Heart art. It hits you in the center of your beingness. See, we've been distracted by all this mainstream idea of art, this mainstream idea of beauty, this mainstream interpretation of music and theater and all this other stuff. We've been distracted by all this. And here's a perfect example of how limited our art and even our perspectives are. And it's an example of how rest of society is being conditioned and programmed. Look at horror movies, horror films. And a lot of people who are so-called not white or not Caucasian, whatever it is, people who are come from that community who watch horror films like that, there's an ongoing joke. Just like on the other side, there's an ongoing joke of killing the first black guy. The person that gets killed in a movie has got to be a black guy, the first person. Like, that's not a thing that just happened to be. I mean, racism is basically 2 days ago, like, legalized racism, lynching, burning, and killing people was like day before yesterday in timeline perspectives. And you think that joking about, the killing the first black guy in the movie is a joke? It just happens? No! Figure out where the hell this shit comes from, why it exists in the first place. It's not a joke. The joke on the other side, that the real joke in horror movies is if the whole horror genre wouldn't exist the way it exists, if it were not so-called white people who are building up those movies, our actions would be completely different. See, the accepted actions in horror movies, some people are going to take offense to this, but other people are going to know exactly what I'm talking about. If you had a horror movie full of so-called black people or full of Mexican people, whatever it is, these horror movies would look completely different. The scripts would be completely different. The human actions, the reactions, the fear would be completely different. That's what I'm saying is happening now with the installing, the conditioning of how you act. That's an extreme example of conditioning fear through your emotional body through Hollywood, and conditioning children to act. See, and this is another thing that I've shared in many of my previous videos. It's not so much about the linear conscious interpretations of how you act when you're awake. When you are looking at, this is why the horror genre is out there. We don't know what our dreams are. We don't know what's happening when we're asleep. That's on purpose. That's no different than not knowing the stories of your ancestors. No different than not knowing ancient technology and ancient civilizations. Not understanding what your dreams are, the interpretations of your dreams, the relationships to your dreams. Like shaman, ancient shaman, or indigenous shaman across the earth, indigenous people across the earth, heavily go into the dream space, just like psychedelics, and it's a medicine. It takes you to a space. You are there connecting to yourself and your ancestors. You're speaking to yourself. You're seeing without the linear eyes. This is why this stuff is being removed from our society, removed from our experience. Because the more you're sucked into a materialistic, linear interpretation of your reality, the easier you are to be controlled. You're more easily controlled when you have no marbles. Like when you have no, I feel some people know I'm talking about that. When you have no willpower, when you have no strength, when you have no foundation, when you have no intellect, when you have no hope, when you have no real friends, when you have no real family, you are easily enslaved. When you are largely based upon pop culture and materialism, when you have like a Kardashian brain, and you have like a Paris Hilton soul, and like this stuff is non-existent. It's empty. It's dead. That's why society exists. The mainstream society exists the way it is. This is why I'm saying flat earth going mainstream doesn't matter. In fact, you're missing the whole point. And if you're hoping and praying that flat earth goes mainstream, then you're missing the whole point, which is the human story. Why flat earth or why heliocentrism exists in the first place. Why we were separated from nature, from the interpretations of this reality. Flat or whatever it is. The interpretations outside of the globe model, outside of the belief systems of heliocentrism, is the actual alchemy that is manipulating people to enslave themselves and be subjected to the slavery of this haves and have-nots program. And it goes all the way down to, like I was saying, the genre of the horror films. That's not only for you to be entertained when you go to the theater and popcorn and soda and milk duds and all that other shit. No, that's a conditioning of your subconscious reality, inflaming your fear, inflaming your separation from dreams. This is why you stop dreaming at 5 to 7 years old, because you're in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, and you have been officially indoctrinated into the conscious reality and have separated yourself from the subconscious reality. You've separated yourself from your dreams, and you've replaced your dreams with the American dream. You've replaced your subconscious reality with the artificial conscious reality of the materialistic plane of genocidal control. And this is what's accepted every day. All of the truther information, all the stories, the so-called conspiracy theories, all of this stuff goes down to power. Not only power of controlling the land and your physical reality, but controlling your mind, controlling your dreams, controlling your relationship with a spirit, with the spirit, controlling your relationship with the soul, controlling your relationship with your ancestors, controlling your relationships with your loved ones and your children. Excuse me. Everything is packaged out there in this modern family type of existence that you don't know what to think or how to think, because you're always trying to be somebody else or something else. It's normal for this system. It's not natural though. So that's pretty much what I wanted to share with this video. I just wanted to, I know it's just kind of like another way of explaining the stuff that I've already explained in previous videos, but it just gets like more and more focused, and I just have more and more examples to share on how the same story is being amplified from different perspectives. Because different people are locked into that enslavement based upon, like I said earlier, the compartmentalized systems that they have accepted as their truth as their reality, as their belief systems. And it's our belief systems that actually enslave us. And we talk about, it's us that it's enslaved. Yeah, that's what it is. It's your belief systems. It's the density that comes as a result of those belief systems that allows you to not lighten up, to not be able to enlighten yourself truly. And the so-called powers that be know this, which is why the New Age agenda, the alien agenda, this so-called non-physical reality from transhumanism, simulation theory, CERN sort of quantum dimension reality. This is why this stuff is existing, so they can synthesize your soul. They're trying to synthesize your spirit, which is only through your beliefs. So they synthesize your interpretations of the soul, which inherently synthesizes you through your beliefs. So if they give you your beliefs and your definitions, so if they give you your definitions through their interpretations of the so-called quantum reality, transhumanism, simulation theory, the alien agenda, the New Age agenda, they give you that platform of how you interpret what's outside of this physical reality. Those are definitions. That's what ancient aliens is. That's why they can't say, this is the truth. They have to say, ancient astronaut theorists professed, or ancient astronaut theorists have, believe, or whatever. I don't even think they don't use believe. They use like tactics like they think so. Dun dun dun. Go to commercial and then lock it in with this happy-go-lucky. But throw some titties and some ass in a commercial in your face and throw a hamburger in your face. Oh, like they do all this stuff to lock in those truths. It's an artificial truth. So we'll let you know right after this commercial. Dun dun dun. Boom boom boom. Oh, while the commercial's going, I'll go and take care of business. Happily. Oh, let me make it back to the show. Dun dun dun. What's happening next? Were the pyramids built by ancient aliens? Dun dun dun. Commercial break. Titties, ass, hamburgers. Lock it into your solar plexus. Lock it into your brain. Back to the show. Ooh, engaged. Ooh, ancient alien. Look at all that CGI. That's wonderful. They did a great job with this. Up, down, the frequency over and over again, triggering your primal instincts. You need to eat. You need to reproduce. Sex and food, drugs. They're triggering your interpretations of reality through your lower bodies. Your interpretations of your higher bodies are being manipulated through the artificial interpretations and definitions and belief systems through your lower bodies. Your root chakra, your solar plexus, your sacral chakra is all bombarded by density, artificial density, distraction, apathy. You can't activate your roots, your root chakra, if you ain't connected with the people, the land. This is where the fiat currency system comes in, shuts that down. You can't activate your sacral chakra if you're over sexualized and locked into this. You can't make art. You can't make an art. That's what relationships are too. This is where all this stuff comes from. You can't go to the depths of relationships and real connection from that space if you're just locked into this Carl's Jr. commercial version of relationships. You know, a lady in a bikini eating a burger, dripping ketchup down her chin. You know, that's to separate you from the deeper layers of relationships. Same thing goes for your solar plexus. You won't have any willpower. You can't have any fire. You can't activate your fire if you think your fire is based upon Democrats and Republicans. That's the only way this human experience is going to change, is through this fake ass democracy. This is not a democracy. This is enslavement. It's colonization. You won't be able to be, and that's why they have to say all the time, this is the free nation. You're truly free. Freedom, freedom, freedom. Eat some freedom fries. Oh, the French did this? Oh, they're ungrateful. We saved them back in the day. We're not eating French fries anymore. We're eating freedom fries. America. Damn it. Like, that's the most shallow shit. That's no different than the Confederate shit that's going on. The Confederate statues fighting the Confederate states fighting the Union states. It's the same shit. All of them assholes had slaves. All of them were working in cahoots to make it look like they weren't expanding the slave program. What do you think the White House is? That shit was built by slaves. They can't say that out loud. They can't acknowledge any of this stuff because it'll remove the foundations. There's blood and bones underneath that. None of this stuff can be acknowledged. Because if you acknowledge it, you actually start to empower the people, which disempowers the illusions. So your willpower, your solar plexus is cut short. It's cut down because of the apathy, because of the fear. That's the main thing, the fear. If you're too afraid to look into your own history, you won't be empowered enough to look into the depths of your present moment. And you sure as hell ain't gonna have shit to do with the future, which is why the future is prepackaged by the new age community, the university system, your politicians, television, SpaceX, heliocentric, assholes that are out there selling you, future airplanes, future trains, future, Back to the Future hoverboards and flying cars, all that other stuff. It's an illusion. It's a game. They've maxed out. They maxed out when they started this system, which is why they had to use the fear to make you believe it into your reality. Once you've believed it into your reality, then you take pride in it. This is those people that are on the streets talking about, kill that filthy nigger. Lynch that nigger up and burn his house down. Who gives a shit about his children? Burn the whole fucking church down. That was basically yesterday. People who are acting like this shit don't exist, these people are still alive. Grandparents, parents, they're still telling their kids, probably even more so now than any time before, because they know that power is being removed. So they need to set those mind control programs into their own children and grandchildren even deeper. That pride, this is what Alex Jones is. 1776 will commence. What the fuck are you talking about? Do you not know that this is Native America? That this is indigenous land? Are you never going to acknowledge this information? No, they can't. Because their pride starts to eat itself after that point. Their power, their illusions start to eat themselves once they acknowledge any of the information that I just shared in this video. This is why they can't go any further than Western civilization. This is why some people, individuals, can't go any further than that. Same thing goes for mainstream religions. They can't let it go. If they go further back in time into their generations, into their interpretations of reality, deeper than that, it'll start to eat the foundations of those religions. And it's the foundations of these belief systems. The belief systems are what make up our reality. So your belief in the fiat currency system is what's fueling the fire to the apathy of the genocide of the Rohingya people in Burma or Myanmar. It's fueling the genocide of the indigenous people in the Amazon. It's fueling the land grabs by Mark Zuckerberg in Hawaii of the Polynesian people. It fueled the genocide of the Australian indigenous people. It's fueling the expansion of the colonial program. It's fueling the apathy of the New Age agenda and the so-called New World Order, selling you this idea of sustainable environments. That's how they're trying to do this. Like I said, fear was the old fuel. It's still being used today. It's like fossil fuels. It's fear. They sell you fear. You don't want to be like a caveman, do you? You don't want to go back in time and live like primitive savages, do you? Well, then don't complain about computers because you're on a computer right now. Boom! Gotcha! Get the hell out of here with that simple ass shit. I hear one of them comments at least once a month. You're on a computer, aren't you? Well, then stop complaining about technology and Western civilization. Get your simple ass on out of here and go on somebody else's channel with that nonsense. This whole system is very complex and designed to save itself. It will not, through your own belief systems. So the genocide, the fiat genocide, is really just it's a belief system genocide, controlled through fear, controlled through the amplification of apathy, the lack of going to the depths of your history. This is why understanding, when I say history, it's really our story, our story, the real information of our past. History, people say, oh, that's his story, the patriarchal. Obviously, I understand that. Just using the damn word to explain the information of yesterday and generations before that. So, the genocide, the paper genocide of yesterday is no different than the actual paper genocide of calling people, labeling people so they can control them. It's no different than the paper genocide that's happening today. The belief system of power and control through the fiat currency system, it's the same thing. And it's all through fear. If they get rid of the monetary system, you have a fear of your human resources, your shelter, your providing for your family, so on and so forth. That's a hell of a defense mechanism for the power grid. Until we start realizing that, then, what are we really doing here? So before you start really analyzing and doing something about that, the power grid is attempting to shift itself into the next gear of mind control, which is, instead of controlling you with fear, they're now going to attempt to control you with love, because that maintains power. Fear of losing resources. Now you have the love, sustainability through your United Nations. Sustainable love through giving you your resources as if they can give you anything in the first place. The power is in them having control over you in the first place. That's what all this sustainable development shit is. You see that word, they throw that word sustainable out constantly. This shit was on fire. This was kind of one of the reasons why I got out of the Occupy movement time frame stuff, because I saw this happening back then. People were actually joking about it. I'm tired of hearing that word sustainable. Why? Because they're using that as the next control grid. Sustainable development, sustainable living, sustainable transportation, sustainable food, sustainable whatever, transportation, whatever it is. It has to be based upon the idea of like climate change. That's what it is. It's like sustainable. That's the artificial definition of connecting with nature. It's the Western society version or definition of connecting with nature. Because Western civilization has gotten to where it is today at the expense of so-called sustainability, at the expense of nature. You think just because they're using a word like sustainability, the essence, the intent of the Western mind, the Western program, you think it's going to change because they're using different words now? That's alchemy. You're totally enslaved if you think that's going to happen. But people are going to buy into that. They're going to buy into that new world agenda, that new age perspective. We need to just come together, unify as one, and create sustainable communities, sustainable development. That's the way we need to be. That can only exist if people have artificially created this expansion program through mentalities like the New Age, like I explained earlier with the New Age interpretations. Oh yeah, love and light, we're all one. Those people are only experiencing the ghettos and the destruction and that food and that, those blood and bombs. They're experiencing that because they have karmic ties. That's what they've chosen. So what about all of the systems that exist where people are actually taking advantage of them? They're actually making legislature to bomb, destroy, and genocide people. Oh no, you're just thinking, you're caught up in that density. You have some dark energy with you. I can't talk with you. That's not enlightened. See, what's enlightened is just to understand that it's all about karma. It's not about, what's happening based upon, we just have to connect with the aliens. The aliens will teach us everything. They're the smart ones. Don't you watch Netflix? Don't you watch Ancient Aliens? This is our real history. They sell it to you like a child reading fairy tales. And then your belief systems make those fairy tales your reality. This is the man-child, woman-child reality that's going on right now. That is the essence of the mainstream media and Western civilization as a whole. You think everything is okay. Look at these flat earthers who are all happy-go-lucky about the mainstream media. I'm not going to beat around the bush. Look at Patricia ass, Mark's ass, making these secret shows and having these mixers and all that bullshit talking about flat earth is amazing. Everything is just okay. I can't wait till it goes mainstream. Everything's going to be amazing. Western civilization's going to be flat. Thank you for changing the world. We did it, guys. We did it. High five, Mark and Patricia. We did it. You did what? Stupid asses. You just walked your fucking whole subscriber bases off a fucking cliff because they followed your happy-go-lucky, apathetic ass mentality. That simple interpretation of what heliocentrism actually is meaning. Why it exists in the first place. It's no different than the New Age mind control program of that's their karma. Everything's going to be okay when the aliens come. Everything's going to be okay when flat earth comes. Are you not looking at the power grid as a whole? You can't. Why? Because your belief systems will start to eat themselves. Like I said before, people who look into this information, and like I said, you have to dive in. That's truly enlightenment, is to go deep into that system. You can't just create band-aids and call yourself, band-aids that have the word enlightenment written on the band-aid. That's not becoming enlightened, you fucking asshole. You can't. That's not what that is. You have to process the energy of what created those wounds in the first place. That's how you truly release that density. You have to go through it. You can't just look the other way. You can't stick your face in the light and say you're enlightened. What the hell are you thinking? But that's what's happening right now. I mean, it's easy, and it's not. And I'm just joking around right now in a sense. But I'm real. It's some real shit. That's the infrastructure of how this works. And like I said earlier, people in the New Age mentality, if they look the other way, if they start to look into the intent of heliocentrism, their alien universe, extraterrestrial universe, their channelers universe, their happy-go-lucky love and light universe will start to eat itself, because that can't exist in the same world. They're two different worlds. This is how this heliocentric world and universe is trying to keep people. The worlds of illusions, the worlds of belief systems. As long as you're locked into a belief system, you're locked into a world. If the people who gave you those belief systems in the first place and those illusions that added up to the belief systems in the first place, if those people are aware of how that world, or if they're manipulating that world, the future with technology, the future with extraterrestrials, the alien agenda, SpaceX, and so on and so forth. That's an example of the manipulation of the worlds. The world the world beyond that is a fiat currency system. They manipulate the money, paper, legal tender, Federal Reserve. It's a business. It's a corporation that runs your fucking life. They run your future, because you can't have SpaceX building ... without the financial ... to do that. So, the Federal Reserve controls your future. The Maritime Admiralty system controls your idea of justice, which controls your idea of what can change and not change in society. That goes for the so-called democracy, capitalism, the Western civilization as a whole, the genocides that are happening to the Rohingya people in Myanmar, the genocide that's happening to the people in the Amazon, all across the earth. And the acceptance of that is coming because that's the way it's always been. Business as usual. That's where the apathy comes from. That's where the fear comes from. The fear comes from you have no way in hell you're going to be able to do anything about this. It's too big. Too big to fail. That's what happened with the bankers, right? Too big to fail? You think they give a shit about you? Them banks own those houses. They own the houses that are being stripped from your grandmother because she missed 1 or 2 payments, or they upped the interest rates, or whatever the hell it is gentrification is doing. The banks own your livelihood. They own your shelter. They own your ability, what food you're gonna put on the table. Your debt, your death. They own the very livelihood of your children, your future generations. This Western civilization, the constructs within this civilization, own your ass. And until you start to challenge this system and see where it came from and simultaneously reconnect with your ancestors, until you do that, you're just going to be shooting the shit in the slave cell. Talking about you're a truther. Oh, I'm a truther. Look how shiny my chains are. They're a lot lighter than they used to be. These chains used to be thick. I used to have a chain around my neck. Now I only have chains around my hands, my wrists, and my feet. No more chains around my neck. Look at all those stupid assholes out there with chains around their necks. You're not a truther. You're not this, you're not that. Everybody, as long as everybody is still accepting this reality, we're all enslaved. Nobody's free until everybody is free. I don't give a fuck what you're talking about. Truth or this, truth or that. Flat Earth ain't gonna do shit. The New Age ain't gonna do shit if you're not addressing the foundations to the lies, the illusions that added up to those programs in the first place. That's basically what it boils down to. These belief systems. And if you're gonna fall for the belief system of love and light and sustainability through your so-called powers that be, expanding into the next program, do whatever it is. Just do whatever it is that you're going to do. Just don't get all butthurt when somebody calls you on your bullshit. Because I'm not going to stop calling people and systems on their bullshit in regards to how this program is growing. Like I said, what it really boils down to, and I'll end on this, your belief systems enslave you. They give you your belief systems. They lock you into the physical reality, which inherently locks you out of the non-physical reality. They lock you out of your higher mind, lock you out of your soul, lock you into a deeper layer of this physical reality belief system. And then you protect that belief system with whatever you pride yourself in, whatever truth you claim to be inside this slave cell. And now that fear and illusions are being exposed from the past, from the present, and from the future, they have to kick it into another gear. They have to shift. This is the true polar shift. From controlling you with fear and illusions to now controlling you with love and so-called light and unity and connection, sustainability. And if you're going to fall for that shit, that's on you. I mean, like Alan Watts said, if you're gonna fall for that, then you deserve to fall for it. You let it happen. In fact, there's no other way you can be. It's really at the essence of why I'm doing these videos right now, because people can only change themselves. I'm not trying to change anybody. I just know that there were people that I listened to back in the day that helped me see things differently. And it helped me let go of a lot of the density and pinpoint a lot of the bullshit that was out there so I didn't fall for it. That's pretty much where I'm coming from in this whole kind of expression, artistic expression. So I'll leave it there. And thank you again to the people who support this channel, this work, who leave comments and share, like, and subscribe. I appreciate you. And until next time, from all my relations, peace, love, and harmony.